Hey, even though I didn't talk about this in the quiz you have, I'd like to make a point about when you're looking at different documents and describing them and putting them into your argument, that another good strategy to use is grouping. And this way you can also find a way to describe two documents or multiple documents pretty quickly. And so, how do you group? Well, first you have to write a thesis that puts your put your argument into two categories. For example, the thesis we just did had to do with whether Elizabeth was continuing gender roles or challenging gender roles. And so you can put the documents in this one into this shows that Elizabeth is continuing gender roles, and these are arguments that show that she is challenging gender roles. So, for example, as you're looking at the different documents, you can look at them and think, okay, document one, this is about her being the head of the church. So this would be, so I would have like a piece of paper where I have my idea of my thesis, like challenge or continue gender roles. It says gender. Oh my God. Okay. Challenge or continue gender roles. So the first document, document one, I know that's a challenge to it because she's the head of the church. The second document we looked at, this was saying that, and she's supporting this, that wives need to obey their husbands. So document two is a continuation of gender roles. Looking at document three, a speech to parliament, blah, blah, blah. The kingdom is laid upon me, blah, blah, blah. I've already joined myself in marriage to a husband named the King of England. And so she's saying here, would this be a continuation? No, she's saying that she's powerful and she has to put it in language that men understand. And so she's saying, I'm marrying England. She's challenging their gender role. She's saying that I am something new. And that you're not gonna think of me as a typical woman. I am powerful, and you have to bow to me. And so similar here, does this look like a typical woman at the time? Well, in some ways she does because she's dressed, as a noble woman in this finery, but at the same time it has her standing on a map of the world. So, you could say she's partially playing into the role of a woman based on her dress. She's also challenging this by displaying her power. And so I'd say here she's also challenging roles, but I'm not going to put it as far in the continuation or challenging. And then finally, when I look at document 5, it's a speech he's giving to English troops before the invasion of the Spanish Armada. And so, I am come amongst you at this time, not for my recreation or sport, but I'm resolved in the heat of battle to live and die among you all. I lay down for my God, for my kingdom and my people, my honor and blood, even the dust. I know I have but the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king and a king of England too. And think foul scorn that Parma or Spain or any prince of Europe should dare invade the borders of my realms, to which rather dishonor should grow by me. I will myself take up arms. I myself will be your general judge and rewarder of every one of your virtues in the field. So here, is she challenging gender roles? You betcha she is. She is challenging in a big way. And so in 5, not necessarily gender roles, but she's saying, think of her as a man, think of her as a king. And that's how she wants her subjects to think of her as they go into battle. And she'll say she'll fight and lay down her life too. And so by the end of my essay, here I can say, for the most part, she challenged gender roles in speeches that she gave, one in Parliament and then the other to troops. She was arguing that she was like a man or like a powerful king, and would lead the country as a king had. And so here, I've described both 4 and 5. In just a few sentences. So you can do that. And then later when you're writing at that very end of your thesis, at the end of your essay, you can now make a more complex thesis that has to do with she was extremely challenged gender roles, although she challenged gender roles for herself, but continued to play into the part of a man's world with only herself as the exception. That would be like a complex thesis, where the women of England were still supposed to act like women, but she was able to act differently and as a king. Okay.